We all have storms in our lives that cleanse, clear, and convert the aftermath into a rainbow. If you have the right attitude, you can grow and weather the storm. Let's talk about it now over Lunch with Stormy.
Welcome to season 4 of Lunch with Stormy. How awesome has this been? And even more awesome, I think, today is the woman that we're going to have lunch with, and her name is Michelle Danner. Kicking off season 4, Michelle, thank you so much. She has worked with everyone from Salma Hayek, Zoe Deschanel, I think I say that correctly, Chris Rock, Gerard, Butler, Christian Slater, Paul Sorvino, who I can't wait to talk about, James Franco, and so many other people. She's a world-renowned acting coach, and it's quite interesting as we get into the film and the stage directing that she's done, the movies she's directed and acted in over 30 plays and musicals on each coast, New York and LA. Please give a warm welcome to Michelle Danner.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure to meet you. So much to talk about. You're so connected with the lifestyle that everybody yearns for, looks up to, entertainment, the messages, the people. And something I want to ask you is being one of the best coaches, and people get into your credibility as we talk through later, but you were acting and then you became a coach. You come from a showbiz family. So just tell me, like, through your dad, who was an agent, from what I understand, into your acting and then becoming a coach, like that pathway of steps.
Yes, that's a great way of saying it. It was a pathway of steps, and it seemed like everything was a stepping stone to the next chapter of my life. But I was born to a singer, an Italian singer, Loredana, and Alexander. Um, he was asked by the William Morris Agency to be their president of the new offices, opened very first offices in the 60s off the Champs-Élysées in Paris.
Oh,
So I
wow.
would I had a childhood filled with, showbiz stories. And my dad would take me to the office and I would play under his desk. And here you had, Charles Aznavour come and, oh God, so many people, Mireille Mathieu, and just all those big iconic French singers and actors, a particular duo that I loved, Guy Bedos and Sophie Daumier. Um, anyway, so I grew up in France, I grew up in Paris, I grew up amidst all this in the entertainment world, and fell in love with words, literature, writers, plays. So studied acting at the conservatory. And then we made our way back to the States when I was a teenager. So moved to New York, and that next chapter was studying with Stella Adler and with Uta Hagen and doing plays in New York and many other wonderful teachers. I've had lots of teachers. I was always passionate about the craft of acting. And then in my early 30s or my late 20s, I moved to LA, where I fell in love with LA and making Los Angeles my home, and opened a theater, a center for the arts with two theaters, and here in Santa Monica, and had a couple of kids, some wonderful boys. So
I have two boys also.
uh, they're great. They're
Yeah.
like, mommy's boys. Um, so I went from acting to being passionate about teaching. That was the next stepping stone. And the next stepping stone was, and every time I made the next move to something else, I did it on the beach. I walked on the beach and really thought about it and said, well, what's the next thing? Do I want to do this? Do I really want to do it? And the next thing that I really wanted to do was direct films. And so I had a chance to do that, which was really great.
And how far into your career was it that you began directing?
Um, I began directing in the year 2000. So that was, it's about, oh God, we blink and it goes. Yeah, but two
Doesn't it though?
decades ago. But, you know, I did direct 5 feature film, many shorts, and a couple of documentaries. It just seemed that from that first feature film in the year 2000 to the second one, there was a period of time. Maybe I was thinking, should I even ever do this again? But I did.
I'm
And
sure.
you know, it's something about wanting to tell stories. I think if you're attracted to acting, you're attracted to teaching, you're attracted to directing, you want to be a storyteller, you are passionate about that. And so everything was about telling stories. And when you direct, you have access to the biggest classroom that you can have. So that's what's great about directing.
So you navigated through Hollywood in this town through interesting times versus what 2016 and the Me Too movement dropped in our hands, where, women empowerment literally was part of the conversation. I would imagine my background is in e-commerce and a couple other industries, but I navigated through it, and I would imagine in this town doing what you were doing, there probably wasn't more than a couple women charging through and blazing trails like that. Do you have any thoughts about before or after or during? And, I don't think we're victims. Obviously, you weren't as you charged through the other side, but want to talk about how that was?
Yeah, I really feel it's such an important conversation for women because it is harder, you know, I think for women, obviously. I mean, we know um, by the statistics that, you know, Gina Davis, for instance, started a whole, you know, movement, and we see how many less opportunities women have in this business. I never was felt defined personally or held back by it. I just always did what I wanted to do. If I set my mind to doing something, I would do it. But I do see, of course, you know, around me, and I'm sure with me, you know, a certain discrimination. And so the fact that there has been a movement and a dialogue to, you know, to make sure that there's some fairness, um, and that there's, you know, equal opportunity.
It is about the
Uh,
opportunity too, and especially here, there's a lot of who and trying to get in front of the right people, and simply that one introduction can make the difference. Um,
Absolutely. There's no question about it. It really has to do, but I mean, it starts with, I was looking up somebody yesterday, and it was a writer that I've known, like literally, that was working so hard 15 years ago. And he now co created a big show on HBO, and he's like the hot new writer producer. Um, I think that, you know, you just have to know that sometimes it doesn't come easy, and you have to, you know, struggle a little bit. You have to pound the pavement. You have to pay your dues. But ultimately, I'm just a great believer that hard work pays off at some point, you know, for everybody. But more importantly, I think if you're really plugged into your creativity day to day, and there's something, you know, that you have to say through your art, no matter what. I was talking to this very well known actress today in Istanbul, in Turkey, who is working. And for her, it's like I said, for you to act is like drinking water. You need it. And so I think for many people, you know, for true artists, they just, no matter what, have to find a way, um, you know, to make it happen for themselves.
it's very true. This town creates the greatest opportunities and heartbreaks. You have to hear no a lot before you hear yes. And I love it. Like you said, you got to LA and loved it. I love everything about it. I love Hollywood. I love the beach. I love all the iconic places. I still love walking on the stars. It just makes my heart happy every time I drive down Melrose or Rodeo Drive or Sunset. I think all the magic is still there. So thanks for continuing to create it, actually.
You know, it's a great creative home, and that's why so many people, you know, are drawn to want to come here and to live here, because you can walk down the street, and even now, as we've turned the page a little bit with COVID, knock wood, that we continue to do so, you could always be like, having a coffee anywhere and overhearing people talking about a project, a creative project that they're doing together. Or you could be at the gym and you hear people, right next to you talk about this movie or this, venture or this play. It's filled with creativity. Los Angeles, the streets, the restaurants, it's filled with creativity. The Uber drivers, everybody's writing a script and trying to get it made. So it's that energy. I've always been, I teach acting. I have an acting school, and all actors from all over the world are drawn to come to Hollywood. Well, obviously because we know it's Hollywood. But I said, well, why is it that you love this so much than Capri or,
Right.
Rome or Paris? I mean, those are London. Those are such great cities. Why is it that you really love LA and you want to stay here? And everybody says the same thing, the weather.
Of
But
course.
more
It's like
importantly,
1,000 per square foot for the weather.
the weather is always a good answer. But it's really, that creative energy that's in the air.
Yes. And it feels good. They're expecting it from you. The conversations are expecting you to flourish and be collaborative. I want to talk about, and I will butcher every one of the acting techniques, I'm sure, when I try to say them that you've learned. But I've never quite known or met someone like you that has studied, we talk about your success, but the real work was done on those stones towards it with these different techniques, which are all unique in themselves. I looked at a couple, but the Meisner, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Strasberg, that's correct. Adler, I got that. Hagen. Okay.
Uda
Chekhov,
Hagen.
is
Uda
it
Hagen.
Hagen?
Uda Hagen. Yes.
Uda Hagen. Chekhov,
Yes. But,
Stanislavski.
mm-hmm.
Oh, so those are all the techniques regarding acting, and your Edgemar, is it Edgemar Center for Arts, right? Is that the
Yes.
acting school that you speak
Yes.
of that you founded? So within there, there's all of these techniques. I'm not an actor. Um, I was in school plays, but I wonder, are there fine details within each? What makes them each special? How would an actor or an actress choose what technique they would want to learn?
Well, it's a great question. I think that, back then, when Stella Adler and when Lee Strasberg went to meet with Stanislavski and talk about, what makes great acting, bottom line, that's the question that everybody, wants to answer and master. And they all came back with different opinions, thus different techniques started. They both heard two different things. So actors fluctuate either, using their personal life as triggers, or using their imagination, or using a combination of both. And of course, the Meissner technique mastered a series of exercises that really had to do with finding the truth of each moment. And Michael Chekhov worked a lot with psychological gestures and physicality. So every technique has, several parts of it, components of it that are crucial for actors. I think it behooves the actor today in 2021 to study all these different techniques and I basically believe that every actor has to have the keys to their own toolbox, which I call the golden box, where you put parts of different tools that work for you, that you feel work best for you. That's why you have to learn them all. And also, in addition to that, um, tools of life. You live your life, and so much of who you are and what you've experienced goes into that toolbox as well. And so I think it's important for the actor today to be very knowledgeable about all the different techniques. I'm constantly reading an acting book, or going back or rereading Stanislavski, and of course, there's a lot of acting teachers in this world, and they put forth insights and philosophies that are fascinating to read and implement.
I can't, I really enjoyed learning about your golden box and the efforts that you're putting towards that phrase and what it really means. Um, But let's say, because I've had zero acting, give me one, let's go through one moment. You can pick a line. Please don't make me cry. But like, what's your tip for like pulling, walking into that room that we all walk in and feel like, oh my gosh, I'm an imposter, right? I'm walking in and I'm successful or I'm this or that, but you wonder, you got to check yourself. I always think of these things like I have to pretend like I'm, whatever else whenever you doubt yourself. So, what's your first acting tip for literally the greenest person in
Oh,
acting?
find your breath.
Breath.
Just breathe. Just breathe. And, walk in with your authentic self. Just be real, be authentic. Um, I'm a great believer in studying the craft of acting. Some people will tell you, oh, just be yourself and that's enough. Well, I don't think that. I think you have to, like everything else, there is a craft to learn. But if you are, just starting out, if you're a beginner and you don't know, well, first of all, study. But always in every circumstance, whether let's say you're thrown in, I don't know if you watch Schitt's Creek, but I'm
Yes.
really enjoying it. And so at the end of season 5, they perform cabaret. So we have to believe that, these actors from this small town who have no acting experience and are completely green, um, you know, are able to perform cabaret. But it's
Right.
called dramatic license. But of course, they do a fantastic job doing it. And it has to do with connecting with themselves. And Stanislavski had that, image of the ship, and you have to connect to yourself in order to be a great actor. And then you have to learn all the skills.
And one might think the opposite, that you put on a persona to pretend to be something else, but really the magic of doing that is being that inside versus covering it up, being able to tap inside.
Yeah, I mean, the job is to take on someone's skin. It is to take on someone's persona, but not to do it in a way that removes you from the equation. You want to bring yourself to the party. And so you want to connect with what it is in you that understands, identifies with this character that you're playing. I always say, it's a part of you that gets adjusted. That's what you explore when you play a character.
I love that. You have to put on someone else's skin is a really good line. You should
Yeah.
write that into a movie. um, so I want to talk. Brad Pitt popped into my head with someone that I felt like got so much better as an actor. And I felt in the beginning, so I think he probably went to acting school after he was absolutely beautiful and bravo to Thelma and Louise. Like, amazing. But it felt like he was just that guy until a little later. And then you started seeing like these um, Legends of the Fall performances, but performances where I was like, wow, there was a huge shift in him. So do you think it's the role that they play on being able to deliver? Because I would think, Brad Pitt walking in at that age anywhere in the room, it was the same reaction. You didn't need Thelma and Louise or a movie script to get the women to double take.
Right.
That's an easy part. But do you think that it's the role that you walk into that propels you there? The, you know, are they all created the
Absolutely.
same?
Yeah, no, sometimes it's the role that, it's a perfect glove that fits just perfectly. And but with every actor, and Brad Pitt is an excellent actor,
Mm-hmm.
there's always a desire to want to raise the bar. There's always a desire to challenge yourself, to go further um, in your career, in your work. And at the core of it, it's to really be the ultimate storyteller. And so I think that somebody like Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, and so many other actors that come to mind, um, their work gets better and better and better because there's always a desire to take more risks, to grow, to go further. And for them, I'm sure it's, which director are they going to work with that's going to, push them to that
I
place.
wondered with him if because maybe it was so easy because of his looks to get in a room that maybe, like, I think he's an excellent actor. Now, he's just one that I think of his journey. He didn't come in, I felt like, with his golden box, but he's toting it around now for sure. You know what I mean? He's an
He
excellent actor.
grew.
You don't even see his looks anymore. You know what I mean? You buy into his
Right.
character, whoever he plays.
Right. But I mean, yeah, looks can be, something that can help, but also a hindrance,
Mm-hmm.
It can go both ways. I know a lot of very, very good looking actors that have not been able to break through and have a career. Um, so I think it's, well, if it was only looks, then, it's so much more than that. I think it's an internal desire to, explore something deeply when it comes to this, craft of acting. So, and there's a lot of things that go into it in terms of who gets to have a career, who gets, offered parts, and who doesn't. It's complex. It's not a forward answer. I mean, like I said, I know many actors that are just as good looking as Brad Pitt and have not broken through.
Right.
So, yeah,
Right. Goes all ways. But the difference is the things that you speak of, the study and the commitment. Like, some people want to be famous, and today we can do that on Instagram. But to really become an
absolutely.
actor in
But,
that sense.
I think ultimately, if you are a true artist, you're trying to feed something in you, feed your soul, and contribute also. Um, and so, yes, there's a lot of people that are looking for the fame, but don't have the soul. And therefore, you can be a celebrity, an influencer on TikTok or, other places, other venues. But deep down inside, and maybe that's fulfilling, that can be very fulfilling too for certain people to be famous that way. But I think when you deep down inside really have something that you need to say through the writing, um, through the work, you're not going to be satisfied, being less than you. I think you want the whole thing. You want to be the real deal.
Yes, their next step is to always become in front of the screen in
Yeah.
that validated way.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people. There's in the Funny Girl movie with Barbara Streisand. I'm paraphrasing. She's toot your horn until somebody does. Sing your praises and some until somebody sings them. But ultimately, you want people to respond to you. I mean, you can only sing your praises for so long.
Everything you say, I think, can be applied to life, not just acting. Like, it's a way to live. And your Golden Box, which is also a book, going to release this fall. Um, well, I think we've talked about what might have inspired you to write this book, but there's so much philosophy in the things that you say. Is the Golden Box, is there something, is it more than acting, or
That's great that you say that. And yes, throughout the years, I've taught this master class, the Golden Box, and not only did I teach it here in the United
you
States, in
taught
New
the
York,
master
and LA,
class?
in Canada, it's a master class called the Golden Box.
Okay, is it on
Um,
Masterclass online?
oh no, it's not a master
Okay.
class. It's just, yeah, I
Oh,
just call it a
Masterclass,
master
got it.
class.
Just making sure where
But
people can find you.
and I have been invited to record it online, but I haven't done it yet. Um, I travel all over the world when that, of course, was before COVID. I mean, I literally, would go all over South America and Mexico and Russia. I was in Moscow, St. Petersburg, South Africa, Cape Town. So I've taught it in so many different places in the world. Um, and but a lot of people have taken it throughout the years. Not only actors have taken it, but directors and screenwriters and directors of photography and producers, but also, some regular folks have taken it, and they shared that the exercises, because it's very exercise driven, has illuminated a lot of things for them about life, and has made them, go deeper into who they are and learn about themselves, which of course isn't that, the journey anyways, to continue to find out about, who we are. So yes, I mean, that's acting, I think, in general. That's why I think children, they should have like acting classes in schools all over the world because children can only benefit from that. A lot of the time it really tackles this anxiety, this fear of public speaking, but this idea of using your imagination and playing and using yourself, that way, it's an important thing. So I think that regular people, I'm also working on a creative workbook for just in general for people that don't aspire to be actors, but want to
Right.
explore creativity.
So I think what I've heard, if I read between the lines, that, part of learning to act is peeling away your own layers to get to those parts that you can step into a character authentically. And, you
Exactly.
know, I know how many walls do we build up every day to cover and protect those parts versus expose them and share them in any form? Um, so
Absolutely.
the
It's about
golden
peeling
box
that
just,
onion all the time. Yes.
yeah, it could contain just, both ways of looking at it. Your life is a screen, and your box. I always say the toolbox, like my toolbox. I got my e-commerce tools. I'm always going to have those. I've got whatever tools you carry around. And with acting, I'd never thought of it till today, but the box has got to hold, you've got to be someone else's skin while you're thinking about your car in the shop and the kid at soccer and all the other things. So I'm sure it's a pretty complex amount of tools.
Yes, that's right. To navigate through life and everything that life has to offer.
Yes. Now, in addition to all of these, first, do you have where can folks find your Edgemar Center for the Arts or online?
Yes, I think if when you Google Michelle Danner, it brings you to Michelle Danner Acting Studio, to Los Angeles Acting Conservatory. I also make films, so to All in Films. So I think if you Google my name, it brings you different places. But I'm equally as passionate as theater than I am about film. And when it comes to theater right now, I'm rehearsing a wonderful piece of theater with the extraordinary actress Anne Archer, who's nominated for an
Love.
Oscar for Fatal Attraction. I don't think we'll ever forget that movie. And it's called The Ticket to the Circus, based on a memoir by Norris Church Mailer, who was the wife of Norman Mailer. And it's just a wonderful piece. And we're actually about to shoot it and do it as part of virtual theater because, we're still slowly reopening things
Interesting.
here in LA. Um, and
Virtual
so
theater,
I'm
that's
very,
brilliant.
very passionate about theater. Um,
And it's a
working on
one
that
woman
piece,
play, right?
one woman show. Yes, it's going to be just great. And if you
I
really
can't
want a
wait to
slice
see it. And then
of history, yeah.
behind you, you have The Runner. I know you directed that.
Yep, we're finishing our festival circuit. I was just in Italy, Ischia Film Festival. So a fantastic film festival in the island of Ischia, just beautiful.
Never even
And
heard of
it
it.
went really well. Got some great feedback. And we're going to be September 18th in Long Beach as part of the Catalina Film Festival. And then on October 2nd, we're going to be at the Chinese Theater as part of another film festival. Um, and so we're finishing our festival circuit and we've won a lot of awards and then it'll be distributed.
Okay, that was my next question. If it was available on any of the platforms yet.
Not yet, but it will be at the end of this year.
And then the other one is one that just came out. Rise Again? No.
Bad Impulse.
Bad Impulse. I don't know where
Bad
Rise Again
Impulse, a
came up. It's part of
psychological
my sponsor
thriller
slogan.
with Paul Sorvino,
Yes.
Grant Waller, Sonia Walger, and that one is everywhere to be found. It's distributed by Gravitas, and it had a wonderful, almost 2 months on demand in December and January,
And now it's on
and you can
Amazon
find it.
Prime.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. Yeah.
So you can find it there. And you directed that as well.
I directed that. Yep, absolutely. And it was a lot of fun. It was a scary movie. And I love psychological thrillers, but it had some horror and supernatural. And I did go to the festivals in person with that. And people said that they were scared and on the edge of their seat. So,
I
but
love
felt like I
those.
did my job.
Yes. Now, do you know Dee Dee? Dee Sorvino, Paul's wife.
Yes, of course.
I love that woman. So she's
Yeah.
become a friend of mine. We actually met through the podcasting circuit, but she's become a friend of mine. So I was watching her post about that when they were filming, and I thought, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I can't believe that was Michelle. What a small
she
world in
has
a
a
weird country.
cameo in it. Yeah, she was quite wonderful.
Yeah, she's the best. She's such a hoot. She has Drinks with Dee on the same podcast network that we're on.
Ah, okay.
So you also, in regards to the film, run Cinema at the Edge Film Festival.
Yep.
And
It's an
where
annual
is
film
that held?
festival. We celebrate truly independent, cutting edge films. Um, and the last one that we did it right before the shutdown. And so we got in there right before, literally the week before. And we had some really great screenings and sold out houses. God, it feels like it's a thing of the past.
Right.
But
So
now it's online,
heartbreaking.
this year and next year it'll be live again in person.
And was it in LA? Is that where it was held?
Yes, in Santa Monica.
Santa Monica. I love Santa Monica.
Yeah, it's great.
I can't wait to buy my 3 feet on the sand someday.
Yeah,
So you've done the book, the 2 films. The Runner was coming out during COVID. That had to affect something there.
Bad Impulse. That Bad Impulse came out during COVID
Oh,
in
right. The Runner
December.
was.
Yeah,
When was The Runner? It
yeah.
was recent, wasn't it?
The Runner, I shot it right before principal photography, right before we went into the lockdown.
Okay.
And then I had the luxury of the lockdown to edit it. So that was pretty fantastic. I was, very creative during that time. And then we submitted it to festivals and we had an incredible response. I think we got into 25 film festivals here in the United States, CineQuest and World Fest Houston, and so many others. But in any event, we were just so happy to be part, of programming. And then, of course, in Italy, we were in Ferrara and Ischia, and just I can't say enough about the adventure that we just went on.
And that stars Cameron Douglas, the next generation of these handsome Douglas men.
Yes, that's right. And a young newcomer called Edouard Philippona, who since then booked a couple of movies. He was on set on the Ridley Scott's next feature, had a scene with Lady Gaga. And Elizabeth Rome, who's a wonderful actress and a film director as well. And Eric Balfour, that people love.
Love.
He's pretty good.
Yeah,
So yeah, I was
that's
lucky to
powerful.
have, Carrie Metters. It was just, it's just lucky to have these wonderful actors on set.
You were lucky to have women directing right now, like, and leading the way with good cinema.
Yep, that's right.
Classic, thoughtful. I'm sure of all of it just from listening to you. And I love the Hollywood shift in this sense.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
I
nice.
think it's important that there's opportunities for everybody, but I think that we've turned somewhat of a corner. I see that people, opening the door to, artists from different parts of the world. It's really important.
Yep, and they can get eyes on themselves in different methods today. But for someone that is trying to break in, so the old stories of moved from Minnesota, the Rock of Ages story, where the girl gets on the train and she comes in and doesn't know anybody. What do you do?
You start to build a community around you. Of course, I'm a great believer in studying. If you don't, if you are green and you don't have a craft, you have to land somewhere and study and learn. But then you have to create community around you. You have to, because a lot of the times you get offers and you get opportunities. That's why when people say it's who you know, but in a way, sometimes, of course, it can be who you know. You have to connect with people and meet people. And a lot of the projects that I do in front of the camera and on stage, have to do with these connections. People call you and they want to work with you again. And I've got this project and I have this. And, very rarely does it come out like that. It's a lot of the times it's through 2 degrees or 3 or 4 degrees of separation. So create community around you. I
Because
think
people
that.
say it's who you know, but it doesn't have to be who, your best friend. It's who you know is effort. That the idea of networking should not, and in person and looking at people's faces, even like this, if we were working together, we'd probably be on email and a different way. But the networking is very important about who you know. Those are things people have worked for. They're not easy connections when you're at your
And
level.
nurture relationships. For instance, the writer of the movie Bad Impulse is also the same writer that wrote The Runner, Jason Chase Terrell. Bad Impulse was his baby. The Runner was my baby because I came up with the story and word of treatment. But in any event, we collaborated on both, and I look forward to collaborating with him in the future. I think when you meet people and you find that you work well together, you want to keep working with them and also expand, and add, make more friends, and, collaborate more with people that you've never collaborated before. But it's all about that.
Yeah, because people say, oh, you need to, work well together. No, you need to find the person you work well with. You don't have to stick a square peg in a, round hole. There are 7 billion people in the world. You can find the people you work well with unapologetically. As a leader, I would be kind of chastised. People say, oh, yeah, well, she took along her friends. And it's like, no, I took along the badasses that perform because I trust them. I put my weight in their hands and they hold it carefully. So I think there's a lot to be said for once you find that tribe, you can run a lot faster when you
Absolutely.
get to know how they like their eggs.
That's right. Build that community around you and nurture it.
Um, I saw you have a little dog in there earlier.
You did. Where is he?
What kind of dog do you have?
I have fallen in love with Australian Shepherds.
Oh, wow.
They're really smart. And I did a movie called The Bandit Hound with Judd Nelson. I have it here with
Breakfast Club
Lou
me right here.
Ferrigno, late Vern Troyer.
Oh, I've seen that.
And
Yes, I've seen that
so this
artwork.
doggy here is my doggy, Blue Angel.
That
Uh,
is your literal dog?
That's my literal dog. I had
I love
auditioned
that.
30 dogs for this movie, but it turned out that he was really smart and he's so photogenic. He's got these beautiful blue eyes, and his brother called Evergreen also. And so Evergreen plays actually his love interest in the movie when in fact they're brothers. And then after that, I adopted a few more. So I have this really cute Chocolat Australian Shepherd. And he's a great traveling dog. He's a great dog to come
How
on
big do
set.
they get?
Chocolat, are you here? They get, oh, here he is. He's always close to me. Well, this one here is now he's about to bark because
Welcome, Chocola.
this one is he's 4 pounds.
Oh
This
my,
one's very
that's
little.
as big as they get?
No, just him. The
Oh,
other ones are 30 pounds, 20 pounds. But he's he travels with me everywhere.
that's the
He's
cutest little dog
super
ever.
patient. He's on the plane, like he literally can be on the plane for 10 hours and you don't hear him.
He just wants to be by his mama.
That's all he's happy. He just wants to be really close to me.
Yep,
So
the
that's
best. That's what happened in my dog relationship during COVID. I'm like a complete, but they are worse. Like I'm their human, like what do they call him? Guide dog, human calm dog, whatever they call him. We all need one. I love them. Comfort dogs. They're
yeah,
my
they're
comfort
great.
dogs.
Yeah.
Um, I I want to tell you about something that we're doing with a new business partner. And also want to thank Pink Hayes for being a sponsor. You can find this in LA dispensaries. We have a group called the Pink Sesh Society that is about women and bringing them together. We do events. We have speakers. It'll just pop in. It could be 10 to 30 women, but every time we do them, it's a woman that needs it. And sometimes it's me that actually needs it. It's a large online community, and I would love any time, any day, any way that you would speak. We are in LA as well, but we're not doing live events right now. But I think that like before I walk out today, I'll just breathe and be my authentic self and know that that's really probably the key. But you've got these little liners that I think would be so shared with women, and your success is admirable during times that a lot didn't make it. So I want to offer that to you anytime, or have
Thank
you
you.
offer it
I'd
to
be
us.
happy to.
I
I
would
would be
love
happy
that.
to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then where can everyone find you? We'll be sharing that to that community. So we're going to hold you to it, Miss
Well,
Danner.
I'm so bad with this, but it's michelledanner.com, Michelle Danner LA, Instagram, um, All in Films. If you want to watch some of the movies that I've directed, that's where you can find me.
Watch the movies, support women directors and all directors, but why not? And what else? Take a breath and be your authentic self. Golden Box.
That's right.
That's the other thing. When Golden Box is coming out this fall?
Yes, probably towards the end. I'm going to teach it live, hopefully on the 25th, I believe, of September. And the 26th, it's a 2-day intensive masterclass live here in LA, socially distanced with precautions. So hopefully we can still do that, but that's when it's slated for.
Okay, everybody just heard that. Check that out if you're in LA. That's amazing, and we will definitely share that with the community, our ladies. You're amazing, and I'm
Thank
super jealous of whatever dinner parties that you get invited to or have. I just want you to know that I'm already jealous. I don't even know who's there.
you. Well, these days we're taking it easy on the dinner parties, but I have been to some pretty cool dinner parties for sure.
I bet you do. I bet you do. Well, thank you so much for having a lunch with me,
Thank
and
you.
I look forward to connecting again somewhere, and maybe with our Pink Sash Society, and keeping in touch.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
All
All right,
right.
everybody. Thanks for being here today and kicking off season 4 of Lunch with Stormy. You know where to find us, every podcast platform. You know how to love us. Click 5 stars. That's the cool kid thing to do. And you know where to follow us. So do all those things and visit michelledanner.com. Take a deep breath and be your authentic self. Have a great day.